You might not be able to see it, but there's a massive, high-stakes battle happening right now. And forget territory or gold, the prize here is a piece of technology literally smaller than a human hair, and it's going to define our entire future, the world's most powerful computer chip.
And the first shot in this latest round? Well, it came kind of out of nowhere. The American giant Intel basically holds up this silicon wafer and declares victory. They claimed they were the first ones to mass-produce the next generation of semiconductors. And look, this was a huge statement, especially for a company that, let's be honest, had kind of fallen behind.
So yeah, this wasn't just some boring press release. No way. This was them throwing down the gauntlet, a direct challenge to the current kings of the chip industry.
See, for years, if you wanted the best, most advanced chips, you went to one of two places, TSMC in Taiwan or Samsung in South Korea. They were the undisputed titans. But now, it's suddenly a three-way fight for the top spot, a battle to build chips at this mind-bogglingly small 2-nanometer scale.
So what's Intel's big claim? They're saying their new Panther Lake chip, which is built on an even smaller 1.8-nanometer process, is already rolling off the production line. Now, if that's true, that's a game changer. It puts them months, maybe even years ahead of their rivals who are still just gearing up for their own 2-nanometer launches.
But you know how it is. Especially in the world of semiconductors, headlines don't always tell the whole story. When you dig into the details, you have to ask, did Intel really win this race? Or did they just jump the gun?
And that's because if you talk to the experts like Professor Li Zhonghuan, they'll tell you that being first to make an announcement means, well, not much. The real race, the one that actually counts, is about two things: how efficiently you can make the chips, something called yield, and whether you can actually get the big tech companies to buy them.
Okay, so let's break down this yield thing. It's actually pretty simple. Imagine you're baking cookies. The giant silicon wafer is your sheet of dough, and each tiny chip is a cookie. Yield is just the percentage of perfect, non-burnt, totally usable cookies you get from that sheet. A high yield? Awesome. You're efficient, you're making money. A low yield? Well, you're basically just throwing a ton of expensive dough in the garbage.
And this is where Intel's victory lap starts to look a little shaky. To actually have stable, profitable mass production, you need a yield somewhere around 70 to 80%. The current leader, TSMC, is already reportedly hitting over 60%. And Intel? Well, the latest reports put their yield at just 10%. Yep, that's a massive gap. It's a long way from a real victory.
So this whole focus on yield really shows you what this competition is all about. It's not about flashy headlines. It's about this relentless, decades-long push to just keep getting smaller and smaller, and it's all driven by a really basic principle of technology.
So let's step back a second. Why the obsession? Why does this raise for just a few nanometers matter so much? I mean, we're talking about a unit of measurement so tiny you could line up thousands of them across a single red blood cell. What's the big deal?
Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. When the transistors on a chip get smaller, they get better in every way. They get faster, they use less power, and this is the big one. You can cram way more of them into the same tiny space. And that means more computing power for your phone, for your car, for the giant data centers that basically run our entire world.
And we're not just talking about your phone's battery lasting a little longer. Oh no. The impact is way bigger than that. This race for the tiniest chip is literally powering a complete transformation of the entire global economy.
Just look at the scale of this. We're talking about a market that's projected to blow past $1 trillion by 2030. These little slivers of silicon are becoming the most valuable resource on the planet.
Let's take the car industry, for instance. As we're all shifting to electric and autonomous cars, the cost of the chips inside just one vehicle can go up by 10 times. I mean, think about it. These aren't really cars anymore. They're supercomputers on wheels, and they need the best of the best chips to work.
Then there's healthcare. These same powerful chips are the engines driving absolutely revolutionary changes. We're talking about AI that can spot diseases faster than a human doctor, or robotic arms that perform life-saving surgeries with a precision that's, well, superhuman.
And of course, you can't talk about this without talking about AI, right? Every single mind-blowing thing you see from ChatGPT, every incredible AI-generated image, it all starts right here with these chips. These specialized AI accelerators are literally the brains of the AI revolution. And get this, they're expected to make up half of all the chips in data centers by the end of the decade.
Okay, so it's pretty clear these chips are remaking our world. But how in the world are they even made?
Honestly, the process is so precise, it's kind of miraculous.
So to keep shrinking these things, engineers have had to totally reinvent the transistor itself. That's the basic on-off switch for all of computing. It's wild. They went from these simple flat designs to these complex 3D structures called FinFETs, and now they're at something called gate-all-around, where they basically wrap the transistor from every direction to get even more control. And believe me, they're already working on what comes next.
And making just one of these chips, it's like this incredibly complex global dance. It starts with the design, then it goes to fabrication in these factories that cost billions of dollars to build, then it has to be packaged and tested. It is, without a doubt, one of the most complicated supply chains humans have ever come up with.
All right, so where does all this leave us? You've got Intel making this bold claim, you've got their rivals pushing ahead. What does the future of this race even look like?
Well, this really puts Intel's challenge into perspective. If you look at the market for just making chips for other companies, TSMC is just completely dominant. They have over 71% of the market. And a big reason for that is it's the only thing they do, and it's made them the best in the world at it. Samsung is way back in second place with just over 8%. So for Intel to get back on top, they have a huge mountain to climb.
So here's the main takeaway, really. This whole fight over 2nm chips, it's just one battle in a much longer war. The demand for chips that are more powerful and more efficient just never stops, because this technology is what's driving the future of, well, everything. Our cars, our healthcare, you name it. The chips that are being perfected right now are quite literally building the world we'll all be living in tomorrow. So the only real question is, who's going to build the ones that create the day after that?